Buongiorno classe! Come state? Sto molto bene, grazie. La prima parte, the first part of questa lezione, sono le posizioni, our positions. Use your vocabolario delle posizioni, vocab for position notes, to help you with the next couple multiple choice domande. La seconda parte, the second part, is going to be also on posizioni, but specifically preposizioni, prepositions. Some of them we've already talked about. However, there will also be a couple new ones as well. The throwback to articles. Get it? Like the female articles, there are two. Lion, L' sort of thing. Anyway, all right. Prima parte, the first part. Dove sta l'uccello? L'uccello sta sopra o destra? Is the bird sopra o destra? If you are thinking sopra, you are correct. Secondo. Dove sta l'uccello? L'uccello sta. The bird is dietro, behind la scatola, dietro. Dove sta l'uccello? Where's the birdie? L'uccello sta sotto la scatola, under the box. Dove sta l'uccello? Where's the birdie? L'uccello sta? Neither. If you're wait a second, dietro, sotto, no. L'uccello sta tra le scatole, between the boxes. Nice catch. Dove sta l'uccello? L'uccello sta vicino, vicinity, cognate, near the box. Lontano, far away. Dove sta l'uccello? Davanti o dietro? The birdie is, l'uccello sta davanti la scatola. So that was our quick review of le posizioni. Adesso parliamo, now we're going to talk about other preposizioni, prepositions. So again, prepositions, positions, similar, on, above, near, below, far, behind. But these are also words like, for example, that also express relation to other words. So, che cos'è un preposizione? In inglese, a preposition is a word, usually before a noun, that expresses relation to another word, showing some sort of position, right? The pencil is on the table. On is an example of a preposizione in inglese. The students are in the classroom. In is an example of a preposizione in inglese, also in Italiano. The book is with the pen. Again, another example of a preposizione in inglese. On, in, with. These are some of them we'll talk about oggi in questa lezione. So, preposizioni semplici. The following always stay the same. That means they don't change, which will make more sense in the next slide. Con means with. So, io vado con mia amica. I go with my friend. Or io mangio con miei amici. I eat with my friends. Or io parlo, or io mando messaggi con miei amici, with my friends, or mia famiglia, or miei genitori, or mia sorella, right? With. Per means for. Io compro il libro per mio amico. I buy a book for my friend. Io studio per l'italiano. I study for Italian. Io ho un esame. I have a test per la classe di storia. I have a test for social studies, or even in la classe di storia, sort of thing. So, now these preposizioni, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, believe it or not, combine with articles. These articles are illo, L', those female articles, there are 2. Lion, L', masculine articles, there are 3. Illo, L'. Okay, we'll get to that a little bit later. But they combine with articles. First, let's talk about cosa vogliono dire, what they mean. A means at or to. So sì, yes, it means two things in Italiano. So vado a scuola, I go to school. Sto a scuola, I am at school. So how do you know which one's which? Is it at? Is it to? I go to school. I go at school. Really depends on the context. This is something that we learn the more li usiamo, the more we use these preposizioni. Da means from a location. This is often used when you're talking about coming home or returning from a specific location. Per esempio, torno da scuola. I'm returning from school, or I am returning from practice or from dance. Torno da, right? It usually goes with the verb tornare. Di has a little stellina, a little star next to it. And in also has a little star next to it, and it's pretty straightforward. You'll see in a little bit. So di means of or from. So, for example, la madre di Oscar. Io sono la madre di Oscar. I am the mother of Oscar. I could also say sono di Wilmington. I am from Wilmington. So again, just like di has two meanings as well, of or from. Again, you're probably wondering, well, Mrs. Stefano, how do I know which one is which? More pratica and context clues. See, which one makes more sense? I am the mother from Oscar, or I am the mother of Oscar. See. In is in. Stiamo in scuola. We're in school. Sto in la macchina. In la macchina. Believe it or not, changes a little bit. So di and in, again, the stelline, the stars next to them, perché? Because they change a little bit when they combine with the articles. You'll see a little bit later. Su, on, or up. For example, l'esame sulla storia, the exam on history, on the history. So here you'll notice numero 5, sulla storia. That's a great example of what I mean when I say these preposizioni combine with the articles. Sulla combined to sulla. So here are some examples of what I mean by combining with the articles. If you wanted to say at the house or to the house, it would be a la casa, which really in written form is the biggest change. A la casa. Okay. If you actually think about it in Italian, it's more difficult to say a la instead of alla. A la casa, alla casa. It really just flows a lot better when they're combined. Da lo studio, we combine. Da lo, from the studio, dallo. Su l'esame, sull'esame. Just making the language flow a little bit better. Now this is where it gets a little weird. In the previous slide, I showed you di and in that had little stelline, little stars next to them because they changed. And this is an example of how they change. Believe it or not, di and il don't become dill. It actually becomes del, which I think sounds better than dill. It just reminds me of pickles. Okay? So of the boy or from the boy, del ragazzo. The last one is in. Again, this is one of the ones, the little stellina. Instead of saying in la scuola, you might notice it is nella scuola. So again, these articoli, these preposizioni combine with articles, right? It's a little bit of a throwback to l'anno scorso, last year. Female articles, there are 2. La and L apostrophe. Masculine articles, there are 3. LOL apostrophe. PSGN, here's the S consonant there. Here a low, there a low, everywhere a low, low, ill, and la are consonants. Vowels, L apostrophe. So, I do have this chart for you. Vi incoraggio, I encourage you to take a picture of it or copy it down in your notes. This way it'll help you with the Pratica section a little bit later. It looks really overwhelming. Vi promesso, I promise you it's not as difficile as it might seem. Okay? So you'll notice down the side, il, lo, L apostrophe, e, li, la, le, these are all of nostri articoli. These are all of our articles that we've seen before. They usually go with nouns. Then up top, a, da, di, in, su, those are nostri preposizioni, our prepositions, the ones that combine with articles. So again, if you're wondering, well, why isn't per and con there? It's because they do not combine with articles. Okay. So we'll start one column at a time. If you are using a, which means to or at, it becomes a, il, al, allo, allo, al apostrophe, al. We don't say al apostrophe, I just did that now. Ai, ali, alla, alle. So if you were going to say, I am going to la scuola, a, la, alla. If you say, I'm going to le case, the houses, le case, a, le, alle. Once you can find out the preposizioni and the articolo, hopefully this chart makes it a little bit more facile. That means from a location. As you can imagine, this becomes dal, dallo, dall'apostrofo, dai, not to be confused with to die, you give, dalli, dalla, and dalle. Okay, so the next due, di and in. These are weird because they change. Again, from the Pratica in the previous slide, you might remember it doesn't become del. Oh, it does become del. It doesn't become dill. Okay, so take a close look here. Del, dello, dell'apostrofo, dei, delli, della, delle. Again, it changes from di to de when it's combined con l'articolo. In also changes. It doesn't become inil or inlo. It becomes nel, nello, nel, apostrofo, ne, nelli, nella, nelle. So let's take una pausa, a pause for right now. If I wanted to say, the matita is in lo zaino, I would say in, okay, and lo combine nello, all right? If I wanted to say that I am the mother of the boy, il ragazzo or il figlio, I would say of di and il del. Okay, all right. Su is on, same idea. It'll combine like a normal one, a and da. So it becomes sul, sulo, sul, sui, suli, sulla, and sule. Again, if I wanted to say the matita is on the scrivania, la scrivania, on la, su, la, sulla. So again, it makes a little bit of a difference quando parliamo, when we're talking. However, it makes the biggest difference quando scriviamo, when we're writing. Now, is it the end of the world if, for example, you say in la scrivania? No, gli italiani, or quelli che parlano italiano, those that speak Italian will understand you if you say in la, okay, or in lo. Grammatically, this chart is what is correct, okay? So we'll do a little bit of pratica. I encourage you to either take a picture adesso or fill in your notes for some pratica. Pratica here, to the scuola. Using your chart, to the, alla becomes, well, alla combined. The next one, using your chart, let's see if you can figure it out. In inglese, if I said from the scuola, it would become da and la combined, dalla. Numero 3. If I said on the scrivania, find su and la, combined, sulla. Numero 4, this is a weird one, in changes. In la, nella. Pratica, last one on the slide. Of the scuola. Di and la, again, this changes. Della, using the chart. Okay. Now here's a little bit more pratica. I helped you out in booking a little bit. What do we have for in l'apostrofo? This might be, for example, it's in the winter. Inverno is l'apostrophe, so it would be nel. Suli, facile, we really just combine them, becomes suli. Ai, again, this is the biggest differenza quando parliamo, when we're talking, becomes ai. In il, again, like numero uno, in changes to nel. Un L, one L, no apostrofo. Di la changes, not dilla, but della. Allo, allo. Sounds better when it's combined, I think. Allo. And last one, the il combined is dal. Ottimo lavoro, nice job. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming a guardare, to look at the whole chart. However, speriamo, I hope when it's broken down, it becomes a little bit more facile. Pratichiamo più in classe, we will practice more in class.